because guess what? In the long run, he can still in turn get tired of that same. He can get tired of that woman and decide to splurge on somebody else. That
ma'am.
doesn't make him high quality. What make him high quality is if he's there for her 100% and got her back 100%. That is a high quality person.
Ma'am, ma'am.
People get things so misconstrued. A high quality person is going to be there thick and thin and going to be there for you no matter what. She
Ma'am.
divorced him. She divorced him. But when it came down to his last, when it came down to his last breath that he took, who was there to see him through him taking his last breath? My grandmother. She was a high quality woman. I
So
don't
what
care
I'll
what
what I,
anybody else says
so what I'll
because
say
I
to
go
that.
by what the Bible says.
No,
I go by
listen,
what the Bible says because
respectfully,
if
but
anything,
okay, okay.
if
Listen, what I'll
anything,
say to that is based off how you described her, I just would have wished that she would have used these high quality traits to a man that was deserving of it. Because it seems like from what you're describing, this man was not deserving of it. Because why would he walk over her and take all of these high quality traits for, you know what I'm saying? To and use it to his advantage and still not do right by her. Me personally, that just saddens me for her because it's like if you're saying that she was this good woman, she was there, she nurtured, took care of him, respect him, etc., etc. After he did all of this stuff, then he didn't deserve her. Then so I get you pointing out all of her characteristics, regardless of who she was with. But I'll just say then I wish she was with another man that would have appreciated all of that.
And ma'am, before you respond, listen. You said that this man literally had no one else to turn to. The fact that this man, without this woman, he would have been an island, and he still treated her the way he treated her. That lets you know, like the. I'm not even gonna say little respect. That lets you. That says that speaks volumes and lets you know how like just just no regard he had for the woman. Like if this person is
but
if
listen
someone
though, but listen though,
if you're my lifeline, and I'm gonna mistreat you and disrespect you and not appreciate you, then I clearly don't value you. Listen again. This is not listen. Like again, I said respectfully. The vision said respectfully. I don't know you. I don't know your grandmother. I'm not trying to disrespect anybody.
mhm,
I personally, I don't see that to be a high value. I don't see that to be high value at all.
he is the one who didn't see the value in her. Okay. But I'm guessing on his last days, he did see her value. It wasn't until it was too late that he saw the value of the woman he mistreated. You see what I'm saying? Men have an issue. Men do have an issue when it comes to certain things like that. The wrong man has an issue. They feel a certain
Your sound went out.
Yeah, your sound keep cutting
they
out.
realize at in the end that's when they start to realize who's really there for them and who's not. Even us as individuals, we learn who our real friends are. We learn who our true loved ones are because the ones that are there for us in our time and need when we desperately need them the most, those are the ones we need to keep in our circle. So under the circumstances, I mean, you like you can say, okay, well that's not a high quality woman. But what does the Bible say? The Bible
You
Man,
cutting
the
out again.
audio keeps going in and out, man.
You might have to drop and then come back up. And honestly, based off of what she's describing, I feel like she's saying it from the view, from the angle that, like, if a man is going through it, if he's going through it financially, if he's going through something spiritually, if he's going through something even physically, let's say he had a motorcycle accident or something, he started being paralyzed or something, that would make her high value if she stuck beside him while he was going through some like certain things that he could not control. But to say that she's high value because he's causing detriment onto her. Me personally, that don't make sense. And then if I'm going to make sense out of it, then it would have to go into the whole two things being right at the same time. Because even if she's high value, she's foolish at the same time. I guess what she's saying is that regardless of how he did her, she still had high valuable traits within her, which is why I told her I feel as though that she should have displayed that to another man who would have truly appreciated that early on, because it's almost like this with an analogy. Let's say you a good worker and you at a job and this job don't appreciate you at all, and you know the job don't appreciate you. They cutting your hours, they having you do extra work that wasn't, you know what I'm saying, inside of the job description, and they treating you bogus, taking money out of your check. That doesn't not make you a good worker. So I guess when she's saying that her grandmother was a high value woman, I will understand from that point, like she carried these traits. But again, you have to acknowledge that she's foolish, but don't say that she's just high value because she's stuck by a man that did her wrong, because that within itself does not make you high value. You yourself make, are high value when you display these certain characteristics of being a good, respectful, upholding human being. But to be like, oh, you got to get done wrong, or if somebody does you wrong, you got to accept that, and that makes you high value, and this is what constitutes to you being high value. Absolutely not. I don't give a damn what the Bible or anything else say. Like, I'm not going to live my life or preach that to anybody else and advocate for them to have to stick through somebody doing them wrong just for them to be a high value person. Like, no, because that's just like today. I seen one thing that kind of really irritated me today was Jada Waiter. She had posted this post and she was like, every L that I've taken, I deserve that because I became too comfortable, blah, blah, blah. And I seen a whole bunch of people reposting it, and like they was trying to be fake woke and shit and like repost it or whatever. And I said I would never agree to no weird shit like that. If you think God blessed me to be a genuine, good-hearted human being, and I put genuinity into every situation and person that I endure, and they did me wrong, and you think I'm gonna say I deserve the L behind that? Hell no. I didn't deserve no ill because I was a good human, and I'm not finna walk around and tell nobody I deserve no ill because I did right by everybody else and I was a good human. So to make it seem like you deserve ill, or you gotta be a high value person to be done wrong for that, no, I would never advocate for that.
And this is kind of why I'm having this conversation, ladies and gentlemen, because again, that's why one of the first questions I asked her was like, when you and your ex-husband broke it off, do you feel like you upgraded? That's why I told her that's why I said there is a lot of women out here that really don't qualify for the caliber of man that they want. That caliber of man is not that woman is not desirable to that caliber of man. They're not looking your way. They're not spinning in your direction. They're not giving you any significant, minute interest. But instead of you looking as a woman, looking in the mirror and saying, I need to upgrade, I need to self improve so I can start getting better results in my life, you try to blame it on the men and put it all on the men. Like a lot of, again, there's men that do this too, but we're talking about women right now. A lot of y'all have like an over inflated like self of ego, like you think you're someone and something that you're not, like you're not really her. And that's why your life results is not giving you the life results of her. That's why out of two women, you're the woman that's coming up short because the other woman is not having these problems. But again, like there's no way you're gonna tell me that a man was disrespecting you and doing and not doing these things, but you was staying down for him because that's what you was taught. No, that's not because that's what you was taught. No, it's not because of the Bible. You couldn't do better. Respectfully, I'm sorry. Well, I'm not sorry, but that's how I feel. Mocha, what's up, Mocha? How, before we get into the conversation, as a woman, I want to as a divorcee yourself, I want to know how you feel about what she just said.
I came in on the tail end of what she said, so I really can't come to a conclusion. From what I heard from what she was using, the Bible, it was a little cringy because, above all, God gives us wisdom. And I don't think that a loving God would want you in a situation where you are being abused. And that hit a little home because, I kind of dealt with that and even going through my divorce. And personally, that's where I felt like the Holy Spirit ministered to me and let me know, like, above all, I love you. I don't want you in a situation where you're being hurt and mistreated. You know what I mean? So I think we have to be careful with that. I think that we have to ask him for wisdom, as the Bible also says, and he'll give it to us freely. And I don't think that is wise to stay in a situation where you're being abused and mistreated just for the sake of turning the other cheek. I think sometimes that when people read the Bible and utilize the Bible, I think you have to have a spiritual eye to get the deeper insight and understanding. As
She's
we know,
available
Christ spoke
24
in
hours.
parallels. I
Checkouts
mean,
at 12
parables, not parallels, but in parables, because there was a deeper message. So turning the other cheek doesn't necessarily have to mean letting somebody abuse you and just keep giving them more room, more real estate to abuse you. It could be not engaging in those activities, not looking toward putting energy into negativity. I don't want to go into that, but I don't think that's an appropriate application. That's enough for that. I don't agree that how much you can withstand of abuse automatically equates to a person being of high value. But again, as the real division said, two things can't be true at once. So I think he said enough about that. I don't really have much more for that.
Okay, hold on, Mo, because I wanna give these people opportunity to speak on what she said, but I do want to talk to you about the topic. Nikki, what's good, Nikki?
Hey Noble, hey Division, hey everybody on the panel. Okay, so
Hey,
Noble,
hey.
don't get me wrong. I agree with you 100%, and I agree with everybody else who agreed that women shouldn't stay in certain positions or stay in certain situations if they're not for their well-being. But I think that when you're speaking with older people, you have to kind of twist, you're gonna have to bend a little bit, because I'm not sure how old that lady was, but she seemed like older. So if she's talking about her grandparents, you got to think that this is probably most likely back in the early 1900s. So around that time, women were not just up and leaving situations just because these are families that had 14 kids, who at the same time, just like today, these were situations where black women had to protect black men, from slave traders and, you know, just police officers and all types of things like that. We're still dealing with the same shit today. So when we're talking to older people, they didn't have the options and the freedom to speak out and do the things that they wanted to do so freely as we do today. So in a way, I don't feel like that necessarily applies in the way that you would say it to somebody who's 20, 30, 40 years old in 2023. But again, I don't feel like people should stay in certain situations. But at the same time, Noble, I hear you say a lot of times, like, you kind of get on women about leaving marriages. So it's like, where do you draw the line with whether a woman should leave a marriage or not? Because you're saying that she's not, this woman isn't necessarily a high value woman because she stayed with a man who was sick, in his last days, but then there's women who leave marriages for other situations. So where do you draw the line with that?
Yeah, good question. So she said that this man, her, I don't know if it was her husband or her boyfriend, I don't know what they were. Her grandmother, the man that she was dealing with, she said that this man literally had no one else in his life. Like, if she would have left that man would have literally had no one else to turn to in life, nobody to help him out with anything. So I said, Nikki, that okay, if she's basically this man's lifeline, if she's literally this man's only support in the world, and this man is still disrespecting her, still mistreating her, still not showing her that he loves her and appreciates her and supports her, I don't understand. I don't see her being like a high quality woman for staying through all that. And yeah, I do talk about a lot about women leaving marriages, but I talk about women leaving marriages for like this. I say, listen, when it comes to infidelity, I can understand if people don't want to stay for infidelity. When it comes to like verbal and constant verbal and physical abuse, I can DV assault, I can understand things like that. But simply becoming incompatible, simply waking up and thinking that, you simply just not wanting to be with someone anymore for whatever reason. I don't think certain things are justified. Like I say all the time, I don't think women, not men. I don't think women really like care about take their vows seriously these days. Like yeah, you and a man are not always going to be 100% like compatible, and there's going to be tough times throughout a marriage, but y'all signed up for this for a lifetime. So if you're not getting verbally and physically assaulted, if you're not getting abused and whatnot, if you're not getting cheated on and things of that nature, I think certain things, if you're gonna live up to your vows, you and your spouse need to sit down and because people love to talk about communication. I always say this: people love to talk about communication. So if you really love someone, I think you need to exhaust every option there is to exhaust before you just want to up and leave. I think everyone here can agree that most people are not exhausting every option. Most women are not saying let's go see a marriage counselor. Most women are not saying let's go see like a marriage psychiatrist to help us out since we can't communicate effectively on our own. People are just quitting nowadays, especially in 2023 when people think they have all these options. People are not taking their vows seriously, and especially women, y'all get bored in relationships. Y'all get on TikTok, y'all talking to this person, you got this person on Instagram hitting you up, you talking to somebody on Twitter, you talking to someone on Facebook, you talking to someone on Tumblr, Snapchat, like y'all get bored. So like, yeah, I'm gonna stand on that. I do believe that women are ending marriages and relationships for just unjustified reasons. But to say I'm not ever gonna co-sign someone being constantly cheated on, someone constantly being disrespected. Like how many times somebody needs to spit in your face? How many times someone needs to slap you or stab you in the back before you just say like I'm gonna distance myself from them? Like I don't.
Right, I completely agree with that. But like I said, when you're talking about an older generation of people, they didn't have that option. They had 14 kids. Like where is a woman with 14 kids gonna go if her husband is abusing her or verbally? Like for instance, my grandparents. My grandfather's still living. And my grandmother had to deal with that type of abuse, being cheated on, verbally abused, and who knows whatever for years. And she passed like 4 years ago, and my grandfather is still alive. And when they both went through their health issues and they were by each other's side like that, and my grandmother's last words, she really regretted putting in all that time and that effort into somebody who never appreciated her, and she was the one who stayed healthy and things like that, but she was the first one to go. So I feel for women in those situations. I'm just saying that as far as when we're talking to older women, older elders and stuff like that, we have to take into consideration that it was a different time. Today, there's no reason for it, but back in that time, it was a lot more that they had to deal with within the family dynamic than to make those type of I don't want to say selfish decisions because there are other factors involved, but they I feel like they just couldn't make those quick decisions like that.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, and I can agree to that to an extent. But I also think it's dangerous for a woman like her in 2023 for her to be saying stuff like that as well. I think it's dangerous for young women. I think it's dangerous for young men as well because there's probably like a young woman that doesn't have Noble or other people telling her that she doesn't need to stay stay with a man that's disrespecting her and mistreating her, but that lady is telling her, if you're a high quality woman, you're gonna stay through all that. You're gonna be there with that man through the last day. So I
Yeah,
also
no,
think
I don't
that's
agree with
dangerous
that
for her to
either.
be putting out there.
Yeah, I don't agree with that part either.